For many years, Benjamin Hughes maintained a network of eateries in several Chicago neighborhoods. The businessman was no longer youthful, but he still had vivid memories of his earlier years when he had to count every penny. A small restaurant in the suburbs where Benjamin started his business may have appeared more like a cafe by contemporary standards, but it was the young man's first step toward wealth and success. Each of the restaurants had a manager in charge of overseeing the day-to-day operations of that specific establishment. Everything seemed to be in order for the company, and all he had to do was keep an eye on the managers as they dealt with the personnel of the restaurants that were under their care. Regardless of their standing or position, Mr. Hughes still made the decision to become involved in his staff's company. The senior businessman discovered he had cancer around 8 months ago during a normal checkup. The man struggled to control his emotions and questioned, "Are you sure? Could there be a mistake?" "There is, unfortunately, no error. Mr. Hughes, we verified the diagnosis and double-checked the test results." Oncologist responds while attempting to avoid meeting the patient's gaze. "How much time do I still have?" The businessman queries Mr. Hughes, "A month, 2 months, or half a year?" It's too early to discuss a precise timeline or make a prediction with certainty. You have 2 options: give up and live for at most a month, or fight and live a lot longer. The doctor responded, attempting to be as direct as he could. Benjamin thought that was sufficient justification. The aging businessman decided it was time to reevaluate his outlook on life. Even if his business was the reason for his entire existence and he suddenly realized he didn't want to work any longer, he had to find a replacement before he could retire. Since there were numerous applicants, Benjamin Hughes realized it wouldn't be simple to select the most deserved one. The next day, Benjamin Hughes bought a set of clothes at a flea market, which he got all soiled before putting on ripped jeans. Of course, the senior businessman could have allowed his offspring take over control of his company, but he knew that it wouldn't end well. The businessman has undergone a radical transformation, complete with stretched sweater and worn-out shoes. Mr. Hughes added a fake beard and a worn-out baseball cap with a cracked visor as he cautiously examined his image in the mirror. In a voice that was hoarse like many homeless people, Benjamin added, "Well, now my own mother wouldn't know me." His initial choice was a restaurant in the middle of Chicago that was very well liked by locals. "No way," Benjamin answered. "Not on my watch, and I don't think the manager will be interested in the coins pouring out of your pockets." The building shined with lights and immaculately cleaned windows. Angered, the security guard answered. Mr. Hughes gave a sympathetic nod before requesting to speak with the management. The old businessman knew that Nicholas Green, whom he personally appointed to this position 5 years prior, ran the restaurant, but at the time the newly appointed manager promised Mr. Hughes that he would attend to the needs of each and every customer and seek out every opportunity to boost profits. This was done at the request of the homeless man. Soon Nicholas arrived in the dining room. "Why is this in this place?" The guard, who was not even trying to greet the homeless man, was asked by the manager. "I apologize, I didn't mean to bother you, sir. I need a few hand sandwiches, that's all." "I could acquire them if you don't mind, and I don't even want to hear about it," the disguised businessman hastily replied. "Get away from here. I'm not going to stand by and let you scare off all of our clients. I'm going to have to contact the cops if you don't go now." As Mr. Hughes' eyes began to well up with realization that he had been duped in the most heinous manner for far too long, he dragged his feet. Nicholas replied in a tone that ignored Mr. Hughes' protests. Benjamin Hughes quit working at his own restaurant where the underprivileged were openly mocked. The lower-class restaurant was next in line, and like the one before it, it was run by a manager that Mr. Hughes himself had chosen. The disguised businessman was not even permitted to enter that restaurant. Instead, he was warned that he would be physically assaulted if he didn't depart laughing at the homeless man. The manager had no idea that he would shortly lose his job. On that day, Mr. Hughes visited practically all of his establishments, and at each and every one of them, the poor were treated with open hate and contempt. The thing that disappointed Benjamin the most was that the customer was eager to pay for his order and wasn't even begging for complimentary food. He asked each boss, "How did I hire so many terrible people?" The elderly businessman pondered with tears in his eyes that he had only one restaurant left to visit, the one that had inspired him to begin his life's work, and sighed, "How can I trust someone who only sees value and money?" Sadly, Mr. Hughes stepped inside the establishment only to be greeted by the security guard. The masked businessman braced himself for again another angry outburst, but the security guy unexpectedly showed him some respect. The man said with true courtesy, "Good afternoon, sir, come in, take a seat, and the waiter will be with you shortly," suppressing a smile at the corners of his lips. The manager, who personally oversaw the waiters, came over to Benjamin Hughes as he gazed around the room, which was packed with patrons. Once upon a time, Mr. Hughes gave a chance to a man who was going through a painful divorce and who had a lot of problems, and now, 10 years later, the businessman saw a completely different Alfred Parker in front of him, having become a successful manager. Alfred could no longer imagine himself working in a different place, but the most important thing was that the manager didn't divide his customers into rich and poor, but treated both of them with equal respect. Benjamin Hughes left the restaurant in a great mood and went home after taking off his dirty clothes and taking a shower. When he sat down to work, he realized there were a lot of changes he needed to implement, most of which mostly concerned the managers of his restaurants. The next day, all of the managers were fired, except Alfred Parker, who received a promotion he could never have imagined. "Thanks for your great work, Alfred. If everyone treated homeless people the way you do, a lot of people in this city would feel much better," Benjamin Hughes said, shaking hands with the new head of the business. Now that he'd found his successor, the businessman was finally able to retire. The man didn't know how much time he had left, but he intended to use every second of it to make this world a better place for everyone around him. Well, tell me, what do you think about this incredible story in the comment section? Don't forget to watch the suggested video and share this stories with some friend. See you in the following video.